everybody, and welcome to the iTel Insights podcast. My name is Dane Itel, and I am the founder and lead analyst for iTel Insights. Today we're going to be going over the Greater Vancouver condo market. Apologies for not getting this out to you as early as I would have liked, but for most of you know that follow us, we have been featured in various media outlets throughout the month. First of all, we were featured on Business in Vancouver with Tyler Orton. We had a great video interview where we discussed the detached market, the condo market, and we actually touched on the house price index too, and why I'm not a big proponent of using that for any forecastability. And we stick with the average price. So that was a great interview that myself and Tyler Orton had. Feel free to check the description box, and we're going to give links to the Tyler Orton interview and all these other features that we were a part of as well. Secondly, we were featured with Marcella Bernardo and News 1130. There was a great article written up by her. Really appreciate that. And then with Simi Sara and the CKNW 980 morning show. That was a very early interview. We were on at 6 o'clock in the morning, but I definitely appreciated Miss Sara's time there. So if you do appreciate our content, we ask that you subscribe to our podcast, our channel. And if you like this podcast in particular, we ask that you give us a thumbs up. Last podcast, I did ask for you to start sharing this with your friends, your family, and your social media platforms. I really appreciate you, those of you that had. Our viewership is going up, our subscribership is going up, and the thumbs are going up. So I really do appreciate that, and it shows that you appreciate the content that we produce for you. So without further ado, let's start getting into that content. We'll toss the chart up of the Greater Vancouver condo market. And what you saw here basically in April was an erosion of the great month of March. So as you know, we were in this 1% divergent trend range for about 6 months, right around 660,000. We went up to 666, came down to 663, and it was a very tight range. Then bang, the market exploded. It picked north. Prices increased up to $690,000, and then within 1 month, the market saw the mistake that it had made, and now it came back to that 660 range, right in the middle of the yellow threshold. So the middle of the middle threshold, if you will. What's interesting about that, now that coronavirus, we're living with it, we're starting to see the rollout effects of it, economically speaking, and even healthcare wise. What's interesting is, now some of the forecasts are saying, okay, the worst has happened, now we're going to start going up. That seems to be an impossibility. What we have lived through before sent the market down to $640,000 in late 2018, early 2019, which represented a 15% drop, which is close to your stress test mitigation of the 20% that we've spoken about before in the detached market. What's odd about that is, there was a kind of a reckoning when this stress test came in. If you're looking to enter into the townhouse market, your sights got shifted down to the condo market, and everyone's priced kind of accordingly. So it makes sense that the condo market didn't have to result in the full drop of the 20% like the detached market did, just because you did have some people step into that market that had maybe a little bit more money, that they were able to afford their entry-level townhouse or their entry-level house, and ended up deciding to purchase into a condo because they believed it was better to pay off your own mortgage, which by and large is a true sentiment. But as we've been saying for the last little bit, it's almost going to be better to rent than own in this upcoming market. And it's proving to be correct, okay? One thing, we're not meant to be an enemy to owners of this market. We're actually been giving you advice the whole way along. We hope that you have listened to it, and if you had multiple units, you unloaded a few of them. Ideally last month at $690,000, because going forward, we're going to see a lower price point and more inventory, which just means more competition. If you're an owner occupied and you purchased your condo back in 2008, you can almost completely ignore this market cycle by and large. If you're you own that only property, you're okay. You already lived through your market cycle. These prices are not going to affect you. Who we're really speaking to is the folks that, ran up the market between 2016, 17, and 18. You folks, we're already back down to basically 2017 levels. So all your price increases from, call it $660,000 to the peak of $750,000 in January of 2018, they're gone, right? So you're back flat. And it's true. Part of the Simi Sara question was, the sellers can sell. Absolutely, you can sell, and you have a better chance to sell now than you will in a year from now at a higher price because there's not as much inventory. And your list price cannot be the same as what it used to be. That's all we're saying. We're not saying that you cannot sell. However, if you had pie in the sky dreams of selling at the old peak, those days should be completely over, and your realtor should be advising you on that. prices will very much be going lower. What we do here with the market cycle and technical analysis is point out price points that have been prevalent before and will show to be prevalent once again before this market cycle is over. And that's why we're forecasting a total percentage loss of 30% from the peak of $750,000 down to $525,000. It's not the end of the day for the 2007 and 8 investors, 9 investors, 10 investors, but for the folks that purchased multiple units during 2016, 17, and 18, it's going to be a hard knock life for you coming up in these next few years. So, what's interesting about just let's deal with, we're getting some feedback from some realtors that were negative to the market and that we're hurting the market. Unfortunately, the market is hurting. We're just identifying that. If it was positive, like a Halifax market, we would have been pointing that out. But this market cycle is in a negative phase. So really what we're doing is educating you. Realtors do not have a crystal ball. That is described from the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, that, it's not your job to forecast. Your job is to get people into a legal contract, which is absolutely true. The realtor's job is fairly specific. It's to drive you around, make sure you're in a safe environment. When you enter into a contract, make sure that contract is an appropriate price compared to other contracts that are being paid at a similar point in time. They do not forecast. That is why I tell Insights. That's why I created it, is so that you can have a forecast. So we're not against the realtors. We're not against the market. Simply, we are educating whoever wishes to listen. And so far, who have chose to listen, it's been to your absolute benefit, right? So already we've saved you $90,000 if you sold near the peak, or inversely, we've saved you $90,000 by not purchasing at the right time. And that's kind of the misnomer, right? Real estate markets like to make you money. In this market, it's impossible to make money. It's very possible to save money. Money saved is money earned. And especially when we're going to give you an ideal point of entry at a lower price to literally make money. So right now we're saving you money so that you're enabled to make even more money when that proper price has hit the market. One other kind of common thought right now, because there's panic, is you got to have a 20-year approach. You got to have a 30-year approach. Okay, fine, because 20 years from now, 30 years from now, real estate prices will be up. Absolutely agreed. You will have no disagreement from me. I'm saying corn will be worth more, coffee will be worth more, your cars will be worth more. Everything will cost more money in 20, 30 years. Inflation is a thing. So to just have a blanket statement like that and then, enter your client into a property, take thousands of dollars for your commission to enter them into a legal contract, but really based on the guidance of a 30-year outlook, sometimes isn't really worth the paper it's written on. That being said, you can have a 30-year, a 7-year, however long outlook that you want, and still take advantage of technical analysis by purchasing at the low end of the market cycle and selling into a high end of the next market cycle once it does occur during the future. So that's simply what we're saying. We're not anti-real estate. We are very pro-real estate. We're just not at a level where we're comfortable letting investors purchase. We would like to see prices come down to $525,000, and then you'll get the green light, and real estate should start to be fun again. Right now, we're saving you money. And how we're saving you money, let's start talking about sales. What's interesting about the sales is they're deplorable. The worst sales in the last 40 years. So like we've been saying, sell into this perceived period of strength, because now that perceived period of strength is over, and that onslaught of inventory will start to show up as these social distancing measures start to decrease, and the panic starts to increase amongst investors and owners. Again, not negative, just reality. So let's give you the numbers. There was 508 quote unquote sales in the month of April. Now, as you know, sales come from the completed deals at land titles. So those came from previous months' accepted offers. The previous months in January was 900, February 1100, and March 1000. If you average that out, that's bang at 1,000. So we're basically 50% below what the last 3 months have stated. Not to mention we're entering into the spring market, not the coldness of the first quarter. We're supposed to be in this wonderful second quarter. So historically low sales, and of course it gets worse. When we go from 900, 1100, 1000, the April accepted offers was only 257. So you can see how it's going to be a negative forecast, right? There's going to be less purchasing and of course more inventory. So now inventory is really the story of this whole market. So we'll leave sales alone, honestly, and just move right into inventory, because this is the game changer. So inventory current levels are just roughly around 4,000. they will spike. They have no choice, folks. So right now, you're hearing about difficulties of paying rent. The national government's giving you $2,000. Rent is more than $2,000 in a majority of the cities across Greater Vancouver, and especially in the major one downtown. Right? That shouldn't be debatable. So you're having a tough time paying your mortgage. Well, those investors that everybody called greedy earlier that had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 investments because they just kept purchasing them up during 2016, 17, 18 at increased prices, now they're on the hook for that. If their tenant decides to stop paying rent and move back home, they're on the hook. They're going to have to find another tenant that hopefully is paying that similar price. Given our new reality and our new and the forecast of the economic standpoint in Greater Vancouver, they're likely not to get increased value. We had said about 6, 7 months ago when the report came out about real estate rental prices being at all-time highs, we said what happens after all-time high, folks? You start the market cycle. So this is the beginning of the rental market cycle as well. It just follows the sale price. That's a natural given. So rental prices will start coming off. That means that some landlords will have empty properties. What are you going to do with that empty property? At the very least, you're going to try and sell it and get some of your mitigation back, some of your equity back. So you have to see an increase in inventory. Now let's just take the tenants that are living downtown right now. Why are they living downtown right now? Well, likely their jobs downtown. They're professionals, they're young professionals, and they don't want to have to drive into work, drive an extra hour and a half. So they live close to their 26,000 square foot office that the boss rents out at an enormous fee for commercial real estate. Well, given our new lifestyle where everybody's working from home, majority, and business is still kind of ticking by, why does that office space need to be rented for 26,000 square feet or however, don't quote me on that, but a very large office space, right? They don't need it anymore. Maybe they're getting by with having 5 executives working at an office and everybody else simply working from home and coming into the office the odd time. So you can basically divide your office space in half or to a quarter and still get by with your business. So those folk that had to live downtown to walk and transit to their offices, now they can maybe move back home, save some money till they can buy a property at a cheaper price somewhere else in Greater Vancouver. So the downtown hub here is, it's inevitably going to be hit. Half of the reason why people live there will be gone. And the other half about a party lifestyle and being close to the epicenter of everything, nothing's going on. I mean, bars aren't open. And once they do open, I mean, it's going to be a challenging time, right? Not everybody's going to be comfortable going out and partying. And those that are, that's fine and fair. But it will still probably not be at the percentage of, let's say, occupancy that the old clubs had at 100. New normal will probably be at 80, which puts that owner of the restaurant at whatever in a challenging time. So, we've heard that the real estate market isn't going to be impacted because the folks that are really hurting during these times were never going to enter into the real estate market anyways. Okay, but they're still a part of the real estate market. If you're a renter, if you're an owner, you're a part of this real estate market because the owners need the renters. And that was the idea of real estate in Greater Vancouver, was that it was unfair because there were so many investors. So you'll have to see a glut of inventory once these investors start to get into trouble. What's interesting, again, just about the inventory, right? So we've said that we were at 4,000. During 2019, early 2019, late 2018, inventory was around 6,000 active listings. Times are worse than then. Before, in 2019, they just started to realize that, hey, maybe a market cycle is in existence. It never said anything about negativity. Now it's starting to say, oh my gosh, we're about to go negative. So you're going to have to see inventory go higher. What's interesting, earlier on the chart, you'll notice that inventory in the past during 2009, 2012, we were around that 8,000 level. Would it be foolish for one person to anticipate the market to go back up to that level and certainly past 7,000, which is kind of held as a nominal high, and 9,000 has never been reached? There's abundance of brand new inventory introduced to the market upcoming, right? We got all these pre-sales where all those investors that were, unfairly treating the rest of us because we couldn't purchase, now they're on the hook for that, right? So they're going to have to put their brand new building for sale, for rent, for something, because he can't live in all 5 and 6 of them. That's just a natural fact. And when you have less tenants looking, you're in a challenging time. So let's for argument's sake, that they're going to put a couple on the market, times however many investors were like that. And we remember there were a lot. So there'll be an increased inventory. Now, when you're looking as a buyer, there's going to be a surplus of inventory, and you're going to say, wow, I like that shiny new object. It's got a warranty. I don't really have to worry about these strata insurance issues. What will that do to the resale side of the market? It has to hurt it, okay? So if you're living in a 15-year-old building with some assessments coming up, like the roofs, the pipes, and maybe the elevator, it's going to be a very challenging time selling that property when all these new units come to the market. So that's why, you know, we're observant of all realities here. If you own one of those, you might want to be getting out if you're thinking about getting out in the next 3 years, because you'll get a higher price and the aggravation level of selling will be much more minimalized in May of 2020 than, believe me, May of 2021. So that's just something that will happen. It will be a cannibalization of the condo market, where everybody wants the new shiny object and nobody wants the elder building. That natural, or that kind of common occurrence, will eventually flip closer to the market bottom, because everybody will realize, wow, I'm paying a lot price per square foot when I can pay a lot less price per square foot and get a bigger unit that maybe has a decent contingency fund and it's not such a great concern. So, you know, again, going forward, we're observant of this market. The observation we're giving is that the market is going into a negative position with increased inventory, kind of flatline sales, living between the 160, living between the 1,400 range and right around 500. So, you know, it's nominal compared to the amount of inventory that we're going to see with, I would easily assume that we're going to be plus 7,000 active listings in 2021, 2022, and potentially even breaking past that 9,000 mark, which has never been even tested before. So again, we hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you do like us, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and again, feel free to share it with your friends and family. Thank you for listening, and look forward to speaking with you next time.